What's up, nerds? Phoenix from PhoenixTV here with
WhiskerBiscuit.
here on a Chillin Villains comic book review thing, much like the Witches thing, which did surprisingly well, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I was shocked.
This time around, we're going to talk about Locke and Key, the Welcome to
Lock and
Lovecraft
Key, yeah.
Volume 1 book from IDW, written by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez is, I believe, the art guy. Yes, art by Gabriel Rodriguez.
Powerful Gabriel Rodriguez.
So, what was your take?
I enjoyed it.
I would certainly hope you would. After you were in fact the one who knew who Joe Hill was.
Yes, little background on Joe Hill. He is actually the son of Stephen King. He writes under Joe Hill as a pseudonym, so he's not, I don't know, being carried by his given name,
Right.
and all his father's accolades. Joe Hill's also written Horns, which they just made into a movie. That's one where they took Harry Potter and put him in a little bit more grittier role. But the book was excellent, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Heart-shaped box. He's written 2 or 3 others. It's all his shit's top shelf, but this was actually his first graphic novel that I ever got into, and I was really impressed with his writing. At least that aspect of the book was very well done.
Yeah, for someone who's as much of a horror file as you, I was concerned that this might not live up to your expectations, especially since you knew that he was a king.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this was the best, most suspenseful thing that I've ever read, but it was solid. I thought it was worth the price. It involved enough of my time to compensate for the price. There's some aspects about the book that I did like and some that I didn't, but I really felt like the story stood on its own 2 feet well enough to uphold the listing price, which I don't remember. You'll have to refresh my memory.
It is standard $25. That's what you'll get in any comic book store. If you do a little bit of searching, you can get it for $20.
Mm-hmm.
And by a little bit of searching, I mean if you look anywhere else. They're a little pricier than the ones that I prefer to get, but generally that's about what I expect for one of these.
Mm-hmm. And this is how many part series did you say?
I think I saw all the way up to 10, but it's I think it's still going beyond that too. It's ongoing.
Okay. I thought they had a finite number they were going to release, but that's my mistake.
I think that's Chew that I was telling you about. I know
Okay.
Chew does. I don't know if Locke and Key does. I assume it does because
I see. That might be where I'm fucking up. I apologize.
it's all the same. It'll end at some point,
This is true.
unfortunately.
Yeah. I tell you something that I really enjoyed about the book, and this may be common because I've been kind of out of the comic book bubble writing for some time now, just stepping back in. The way that they do the bubble writing in the book makes it extremely easy for a dumbass like me to follow. How they have you, the bubble is connected to the character, which is industry standard, pretty much. You've seen that for years. But they take the bubble, and with the ebb and flow of the conversation, not only is it connected to the characters, but there are different sections of the bubble that are wedged in between, whereas they would flow in the natural conversation, which makes the book extremely easy for a meathead like me to follow.
Yeah, I looking back at it, I had to look to see what you meant, but yeah, I'm not sure how common it is. I know that I don't know of one where it's not like that. They're generally pretty easy to read, at least for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, not for me, because I'm stupid.
Well, I disagree, but regardless.
Something that I did not like, the artwork isn't bad, but all the characters' heads look like fucking jars, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
They have small mouths. They have small fucking mouths, and everybody's head looks like a jar, and the cops have goatees, which cops don't have fucking goatees, at least not in uniforms, but that's the artwork. So
I just saw one while flipping through it again, and I'm trying to see if he had a goatee.
mm-hmm.
I take that back. He was a prison guard, but he had a mustache. So,
Well, you can, mustaches are okay, but some of the cops have goatees.
fair enough. Yeah, I can agree. That's probably my least favorite thing about this book is that the art style is not. It's not going to wow anyone on its own.
Yeah.
That being said, this is written really well.
Yes, you're paying for the story for sure.
The art's not bad at all, but it's not an art book.
Yeah, it's nothing compared to some of the other things we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of that story, I would go ahead and give it perfect credit for being standalone on its own. If you wanted to just buy this one and end there, that's fine. The story is nice, concise, wraps up in one, but doesn't work itself into a corner where it couldn't go all the way up to 10 and beyond.
No, you're absolutely right. It has a wonderful yes and type of thing going on here. It's like it wraps the first book up perfectly well and does leave itself open for the next book and following books,
Mm-hmm.
so on and so forth.
And the concept, which is a big thing, at least for me, I like something that's not just, oh, it's a guy in tights who wants to fight crime. Cool. The concept is interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm a sucker for all things horror anyway. I'm not as big into the superhero aspect of it. I tend to not enjoy perfectly innocent characters who are the victim and rose above everything. It always took the moral ground. I enjoy more blurred lines. I think it adds to the richness of the characters. And
it's always nice for the character to have a little bit of a gray area.
Mm-hmm. Segue.
Sponsor.
Yeah.
I suppose I touched on the concept. I might as well go ahead and point out what it is. They're the Locks. They're the Locke family. And then the keys refer to there is at least one key that is hidden away in this house that they have to move to for story reasons. And it appears to have a magical power of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And getting back to what I was speaking to, there's a certain vulnerability in a couple of the characters, and they're not perfectly painted individuals. Though some of them lean towards that. There's an innocent little boy, and it kind of lends itself to that role, obviously. But some of the older characters kind of you really get a sense they don't have it all together, and they don't always do the right thing and or react to appropriately as parents and siblings, and things of that nature. And even the villain, without giving too much away, he's kind of a victim in itself, as they often are. But it's clearly illustrated.
Yes, he's very much not. Well, I'm the evil guy who wants to kill you because you're wearing spandex.
Yes.
Which, again, has a place, just generally not in my library.
Yeah, because I may or may not be wearing spandex right now, and I'm definitely not in your library.
I would certainly hope not.
Well, that's neither here nor there. But, yeah, that's really all I have to say about the book. I enjoyed it. Solid story, easy to follow. The artwork was solid as far as industry standard, but didn't wow me. And looking at looking at some of the characters made my brain hurt. But
as the slightly more avid of the two of us, I guess, I don't know if that's entirely fair, but from the more, he reads a lot more books, and I read a lot more comics because I don't want to spend that many hours reading books because I'm lazy, I guess. Yeah, it's probably my second favorite comic book I've got right now.
Oh, yes.
Which is not to say that I have like 50,000 and this is suddenly beating 49,000. Out of the 5-10 I read regularly, I was really looking forward to 2 and will eventually be looking forward to 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm definitely, my interest is peaked, and I'm actually diving into the second one as we speak. If for nothing else, for the story alone.
Oh, yes. I'm very interested to see where he continues to go with the story.
Yes, but if you were to, again, not to beat a dead horse, but if you were to take the dialogue away and just handed me the book itself to look at, I probably wouldn't. Yeah. There are a couple profound artistic scenes in there, but just the way the characters are drawn just really pisses me off for some reason. Maybe it's because my head's shaped the same way. I don't know. I was born with a small mouth and a gigantic fucking head.
And a great beard.
Yes. I came out of the womb with a great beard. But anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
All being said, I would say buy it, at least this one. If you don't like it, it's $25 for a pretty darn good story. If you do like it, there's a whole bunch more to read, and we'll be covering 2 and hopefully 3 and so on, hopefully soon, because I've enjoyed 1 and I've read 2.
Yeah, if we're being honest, you've wasted more than $25 at McDonald's on yourself and a girl that you probably wanted to sleep with, but it just didn't happen for whatever reason, so you're not above wasting money. Go give this a shot.
I can't even say anything better than that. You win. Thanks for watching.
All right. Bye, folks.